All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be going over some of the lore that the new MetaZoo trading card game has on their website, which if you guys haven't read it, I suggest you do. It's kind of interesting as to the sort of groundwork that they're laying for the future of this franchise. And even something like video games, I can already tell the route that they're going to be going. It's definitely going to be very much associated with like a monster catching game. And so if you guys go on their website and you click on the how to be a caster, you get like a little comic strip, right? So we get the little snipe here. Obviously you get Sam Sinclair right here. It sees the snipe, runs away, you know, and again, I encourage you guys to read it. But essentially what I gathered from this, you know, one, he gets his spell book and it just randomly happens. He gets his spell book but when he does, that's when he can start capturing this cryptid, this snipe. And so I'm going to read this blurb out. So your spellbook is a tool for mapping cryptids. Its lessons are intuitive. Its mastery is not. It begins with a card. Your blank card is a gate, a scanner, a copier, a photo that hasn't been taken yet. And so here we see what I assume to be Sam Sinclair. An annoyed cryptid might think of it as a trap. Consider the snipe. Snipes are more introverted than most librarians and about as patient as a librarian collecting late fees. So here in the background, we can actually see the card on the stump or on the tree itself. And there's the snipe. The moment the snipe goes in front of it, boom, he basically gets to map it. And so cryptid, so the trick, and it's always tricky, is to lure, cajole, jockey, maneuver, or otherwise position a cryptid between you and an unused gate card. And so once he does that, bam, with your hand over the slot in your spellbook, you can say or shout if you're excited, gate card activate, and the process called mapping occurs. So essentially this is him catching the cryptid. This is him catching snipe. And so you see there the little drawings here. It activates, it traps the cryptid in there in the card itself, and then there it is. I mean, it looks like snipe is just there chilling after he after he got scanned. But now, because he got that picture of this cryptid, it shows up in his spellbook, and now it says here, your two essences mixed like paint imprint on your card, and just like that you have your own snipe and can call upon its abilities whenever you need. And so essentially this is very interesting, because we were always thinking, right, or at least I was always thinking this with the previous MetaZoo lore. It's like, okay, well, how can there be 2 or 3 Mothman? You know, with the original MetaZoo, like leading up to war, there was talks of like, you know, like 2 or 3 different Mothmans, one Mothman being white, one Mothman being like black, and we always attributed it to, you know, just the preference of the artist. But it seems here, and let me get my screen back up here for you guys bigger. But actually, oh yeah, here we go. So you're now a caster, you mapped a snipe. It's not a Mothman, so don't get cocky. To be continued. You're ready for jackalopes and puckwudgies now. Take it slow and you'll go far. And so before I proceed with the original MetaZoo, I always wondered, how are there multiple of the same cryptid when, you know, this cryptid has only, you know, is a rare sighting of a cryptid, you know, and you know, it could have been something along the lines of, oh, it's like there's multiple cryptids, some of them might be going extinct, or something along those lines, right? In this case, it's interesting how they're doing the whole summoning your own cryptid, because if we saw in that other panel, it looked like the snipe that was scanned was basically knocked out, right? And so I don't think that snipe is now, you know, Sam Sinclair is again who I think this is. I don't think that snipe is his, but by scanning snipe, it allows him to summon his own personal snipe, right? And this has a lot of implications, in my opinion. So for example, what's stopping them from doing, you know, like what we saw with Pokemon, like their own version of their cryptid has specific markings to that caster, right? Because it's your own cryptid, you know, it might get damaged during battle, it might have unique scars, and that's what differentiates them for each individual caster. The other thing I thought of was, you know, in order for these casters to get like the rare cryptids, they would have to go almost like on a hunt. which is very cool. I mean, can you imagine, the group of heroes that we are introduced with? I'm assuming that we're going to have more of this hopefully soon, because it's actually pretty exciting. But can you imagine having like almost like a boss raid of multiple casters trying to hunt down a very rare cryptid or whatever? And that may not be the case, but essentially this may be the answer to, like, with Pokemon, you got legendary Pokemon, right? With MetaZoo, you could have the same thing. You could have the more rare cryptids that are only located in certain areas. And in order to get the scan, it's a very difficult and treacherous mission or something along those lines to be able to call upon that cryptid. And so, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of laying the groundwork for things such as video games, like a monster catching game, right? This is very, I want to compare this to, what was it, like Yokai Watch, but I feel like I don't know enough about Yokai Watch to say like this is exactly like Yokai Watch, because if I'm not mistaken, with Yokai Watch, you would use like a watch to find or scan, like the little, like the yokai in the games, right? And it's become a huge media franchise themselves. Like, they're not as big here in the West as I would have hoped they would have been, but essentially, it's something similar where they gotta like scan it, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I don't know enough about Yokai Watch to say that, but I immediately thought of that when I was reading this and I got to that card scanning thing. And so this is gonna be very interesting how they go about this. And it's also cool that this is how they're kind of implementing, the cards into the world, right? So rather than, because before with MetaZoo 1, it's like you would just be able to summon the cryptid from your spell book, and I don't think we got a lot of information on that. I could be wrong, but I really do like this idea of like, you got to scan the cryptid with a gate card. You get the cryptid in your spell book, and now you can summon that cryptid as your own. And so that would explain how somebody could get like a rare cryptid that maybe only one or two exist and they're able to summon it, but because it's so rare and difficult to find, not every caster has those cryptids to be able to summon. So it's very interesting. They're laying a lot of cool groundwork, and I'm interested to see how this is going to continue, because that's cool. Like, I think it's cool. It really does lay that groundwork for a lot of things that they can do with this franchise, whether it's, cartoon, anime, video games. Like, they have the mechanics now to, like, in my opinion, to make a good video game. Because I think one of the things we spoke about, with the previous MetaZoo was, how are they going to make this into a video game? Like, how will this work? Like how do you get these cryptids? Like, how do you just summon them? And so this kind of makes it very, very easy, in my opinion, to continue on to a video game down the road. And like, even in the comic it says, and I can make myself smaller here for you guys, like here at the bottom where it says to be continued, it says, you're ready for jackalopes and pugwudgies, now take it slow and you'll go far. And so I can see kind of like, almost like a ladder in a video game, or like the power creep in a video game. Like, you start off in a certain area, you're only going to be able to find certain types of cryptids, and as you continue on, you're going to start seeing different cryptids, different elemental cryptids, and then you can even get to the rare or legendary cryptids near the end that require a specific task to be met. And it seems very, very fun. It seems very cool, like a good groundwork to work on, and I'm excited to see more of these comics, actually. And so this is how mapping can fail, and this goes back to how they're going to catch the cryptids, right? So every new venture comes with a risk of life and limb, risk of failure, risk of humiliation. And so snipes are often amused if you risk mapping them and fail. Be thankful they can't speak, they're merciless mockers. Sometimes the cryptid you're hoping to map is out of your league. The cryptid might jump out of the way, or your gate might not be strong enough or big enough to do the trick. It might shatter, leaving you with nothing to show for your effort, and one less card in your spellbook. Note that if you can't even map a snipe, your spellbook will work fine as a doorstop instead. So that kind of goes again with Pokemon. We got Pokeballs. You throw a Pokeball, you either catch or fail, done, right? And there's also, obviously, there's the Great Balls, there's the Ultra Balls, there's all sorts of different Pokeballs for different types of environments. And it seems like that's what they're alluding to here. Depending on the card that you have, will determine how effective it is against certain cryptids. And again, I'm reading this like if they were to make a video game, they have the idea thought of as how this monster catching game is going to work, right? Your Pokeballs, in a sense, would be your cards, and your spellbook would be like you summoning, you throwing a Pokeball out, right? So very interesting stuff. I just figured let me make a video real quick because this is really, really interesting in my book, and I don't know how many people actually clicked on it and read through it, but there's more lore. I've already read through the Abram lore chapter series. That one was pretty interesting too. I think they were talking almost basically about the Jersey Devil. I haven't read through yet on the sheep squatch and the walking Sam yet, but I plan on it. But yeah, this is the one that caught my attention the most, man. This is interesting. I'm excited to see what comes next. And I mean, MetaZoo comes out in like 2 weeks. Well, almost 3. No, 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. March 28th is the official release of MetaZoo. I do have, shameless plug, I do have pre-orders up on my website. Check them out. I'll have it down in the description below, as well as a pin to the top comment. And again, I will be doing the alternate art boxes as fairly as possible, because I know that's what people are really interested in. Obviously, I'm not guaranteed to get any alternate boxes to begin with. We don't know what the pull rate or the chance of pulling an alternate art box per case is yet. But if you guys do pre-order from me, I plan on basically putting everybody's name to pre-order from me. And if I do get an alternate art box, basically doing like a duck race for the boxes received. So for example, I think right now I have like 15 boxes left up for pre-order. I will basically throw up, 20 people's names or whatever, if they all sell out. Throw up 20 people's names. Let's say we got 2 alternate art boxes, and then I'm just going to pick 2 names from there to basically get the boxes. But yeah, that's how I plan on doing it. It's going to be a little different because I know people are very much wanting the alternate art boxes. I've already seen several stores, putting in description saying like that you will receive a regular box. You're not gonna have the alternate box chance if we receive it. So I will try to make it as fair as possible, and that'll be for this release and any future releases that do have alternate art boxes, which I'm kind of hoping that they do. I think that's a really fun aspect of it. But yeah, man, check it out. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support. Anyways, again, guys, appreciate you guys. I will see y'all in the next one. Let me know what you guys think of that lore, man. What do y'all think? I think they really are working on like the structure, the bones of what this franchise could be. Again, MetaZoo prior to the acquisition was seen as America's answer to Pokemon. As lofty of a goal as that is, it is possible because again, these cryptids are everywhere. Cryptids are in every single, what do you call it? Like legends, myths, etc. in every single culture in the US, in the world, everywhere, right? And this has the opportunity to actually do just as good as Pokemon with local legends and people specifically hunting for those local legends of theirs in these cards or whatever. So they do have a very good reach. They do have a good product. I'm hoping that this is just the start of something good for MetaZoo. Like obviously the textured cards were a huge step up. The quality of the card stock should be a huge step up. They're really working hard for the marketing, the lore, the gameplay aspect of it. So they have something here, and I hope that they can continue to, be successful. Obviously, right now, we can't say that they've been successful until their product is released, until we start seeing reviews come out, until people start cracking packs open, and basically word of mouth starts to spread. But the fact that they're going to be in multiple conventions, they're working on their advertisement, on their marketing, it bodes very, very well for them. And again, man, super excited. I'm hoping we're going to get a lot more projects revealed after this initial set. I think right now the team over at MetaZoo has just been all hands on deck to try and get this first base set out so that they can start the conversation essentially with existing fans and new potential fans that may be coming. And I've seen some people already interested in MetaZoo that were not interested in MetaZoo before. I've seen people trying to get some MetaZoo product, the new MetaZoo product, because they're having issues with getting like Pokemon or Flesh and Blood. Not really Flesh and Blood, mainly Pokemon. I even had a comment in one of my videos recently, same thing, Pokemon. They can't get Pokemon, so they want to try MetaZoo, and now is a perfect time for that. I think MetaZoo is primed to take some chunk if they can land this initial release. And so we'll see how this goes. We'll try to make videos as things come out. Appreciate you guys. And again, let me know what you guys think down below about this lure. Do you like that idea? Are you excited for the potential that that has? And what do you want to see most from MetaZoo this year? See y'all later.